In this video, I wanted to share with you 10 things that helped me to overcome my social anxiety disorder and to become socially confident with people. I'll stick to just social anxiety, social confidence today, because otherwise I know what's going to happen. I'm going to get carried away and I want to divert into different areas, because I've said it before, overcoming social anxiety, everything you do is kind of connected to every other thing in life that most people are interested in becoming successful at anyway. So this is in no order. So number one, the first thing is not letting your mind trick you and tell you that you're never going to overcome it. That was my biggest fear on my journey with overcoming social anxiety. Do you know that? My mind used to play tricks on me and say, you're always going to be like this, you're always going to be this anxious guy, you're always going to be scared of people, you're always going to be embarrassed, you're always going to be nervous, socially awkward. That wasn't true. That was just the mind. That was the egoic mind. It's like a demon actually that kept saying it. And I know that seems to be the case for a lot of people that I coach and work with, whether it's in person or over Skype. People write to me and they've got this kind of, they're in complete panic and fear about the concept of always being like this. That's not true. So that's number one. It's not true. Number two, be excited about the amount of work that you have to put in. So number two coincides with number one. Number one is the trick of the mind, which is actually a part of you tricking yourself that is frightened to overcome this, so it creates a story by saying we're never going to be able to overcome this. So number two is how you disprove number one. Be excited to do the work, and I'll tell you why. Because most things in personal development, most things that are on the internet, a lot of teachings, although there's things that are really good, always, usually it did this to me and it made me really, I found it really offensive and really, well, it's just dishonest, convince you that you're going to achieve social confidence, you're going to overcome social anxiety, you're not going to have to go through a lot of suffering, which is not true. In my experience, I had to go through a lot of suffering, and that's been true for people that I work with. But as it's been said before, as Buddha said, life is suffering, and when you accept that life is suffering, it's no longer suffering. It's the illusion of suffering, because change does bring on suffering. It brings on emotional suffering, it brings psychological. But as I've said before, if you've got a strong purpose and you're excited about overcoming it, and this is what I did, I share a mindset of you. All I would think about when times got really tough with the anxiety and I felt like I wasn't getting anywhere, I was going back, I would just keep thinking about what it's going to look like when I've overcome it. It's pretty simple, and that created a lot of positive emotion in myself, and that spurred me on, that kept me going. So if you've seen any of my recent videos or even my older stuff of me going out speaking to women, you'll see me getting turned down. You'll also see me having success. A lot of people would say, what kept you going? The success, the joy, that feeling of completion, and beating a lot of those inner voices that say you're not good enough, you can't do it. Voices of the past, sometimes voices of family, friends, old teachers, the societal inner critic. That's what excited me, that's what kept me going. So I think that's number two. Number three, don't ask God, or don't ask your higher self or consciousness for more than you can handle. And what I mean by that is, and I still do this myself, we all do it, it's human nature. Often or not, students will say to me, I should be able to go and do public speaking in front of a large group of people, or I should be able to socialize around my family and shouldn't feel anxious. I should be able to make eye contact. And the reality is, well, if you keep saying you should, but you don't actually practice and build up to that type of social confidence and level of being comfortable in yourself, not much is going to change. So that, and I do it as well. When we say I should, it's a bit of a victim. And what we're saying is, God, please give it to me without me having to do the work, or universe, or anyone. A lot of guys will do that with really attractive women. Well, I should have an attractive woman because he's got it. Well, the reality is, and it's a harsh reality, but it's good. You shouldn't if you haven't built the self-esteem, because a woman is not going to date a guy who's not at that level of self-esteem. In same for a woman in reverse to meeting a man at a certain level of confidence or happiness, or however you want to determine it. So don't ask more than you can handle, and I'll explain why. I can't remember the exact date, but I remember when I first started out public speaking and just growing in the area of social confidence and dating, all this area of overcoming this social anxiety, there were times when I bit off more than I could chew, and it was humbling. I can't think of the exact example right now, but for example, maybe I went on a date with a woman who is really confident, very attractive in every sense, and I put on a bit of an act. I put on a bit of an act to make her think I'm more confident than I am. But when I actually got on the date and sat down, I fell to pieces, because all my insecurities came out, my anxiety. But that wasn't a bad thing, because I learnt from that. But it taught me to be honest with yourself where you're at, and keep working, keep building your internal confidence. So I'm not saying you shouldn't be ambitious. I'm not saying you shouldn't be positive and expect to achieve things, because you should have no limits. But I'm saying at the same time, if you're not realistic as you're building your social confidence and overcoming this anxiety, you're going to be in for a shock, and it's going to set you back, if that makes sense in what I said. So analogy is, if you want to do public speaking and you're nervous about doing public speaking, as I was when I started, don't hire out a room with 200 people, because you're probably going to fall to pieces. Hire out a room with 10 people, do 10 or 5, master 5 or 10 to the point where you're really comfortable and you're not nervous no more and you can speak really well. Then say, right, I've done 10, I want to do 15, 20, 30, 40, 50. Now I'm just going to contradict what I've said. If you did just hire a room out of 200 people, you might prove me wrong, which is fantastic. You might prove yourself wrong, but there's going to be a lot of stress, and that's a huge leap, especially for someone who has got severe social anxiety, is afraid of people. So I'm basically saying, be patient and go at a pace that you can handle. Otherwise you could possibly end up having a nervous breakdown, burning out, and setting yourself even further back. This has been something I've used in every area of my life, especially with social confidence, and it's never let me down. So it's basically, I remember when I went to the gym and my friend could bench press 100 kilos. I couldn't lift that, it was far too heavy for me. He was stronger than me, but I was saying in my mind to him, this is the ego, well, if he can do 100 kilos, I should be able to do it, because I weighed a little bit more than him. He was bigger built than me in muscle, but I was heavier than him. But the reality was, he was stronger than me, and I wasn't ready to lift that, and I tried to lift it and nearly killed myself. So what I had to do is, I'd say, well, I'm comfortable at lifting 70 kilos, and to really push it, I could do 85. So I had to build up from 70 to 85 to 87 to 87.5 to 90 to 95, and then 100. But if I just went straight from, and I tried to do that from 70 to 100, I'm gonna possibly injure myself, which I nearly did. It's the same analogy for improving with the social anxiety. Speaking to one person is comfortable, but if you want to practice maybe going into a group of 10 people and just talking, or maybe, like I said, holding eye contact in busy places, you have to build up to that, and you have to listen to your body. But of course, at the same time, you don't kid yourself that you're moving forward when you're not moving forward. Does that make sense? Where are we? I think we're on 3, 4. Okay, so let's go. So number 4, right? Number 4 is be kind to yourself. Something that I must remind myself, because people that have social anxiety seem to be really critical of themselves, really hard. So if you go into a social situation, and this is going to happen to you a lot of times if you're working on this, and it's happened to me a lot, and you get socially awkward, you make a mistake, and the person can see that you've got nervous, or you just feel in their conversation you feel a little bit dominated by the person, in that you couldn't really get your point across because they were more confident than you. It's humbling. It happens to me a lot of times. You come away a bit annoyed at yourself, maybe judging the other person. Remember to be kind to yourself, because this is how you grow. You grow through your mistakes. And I've said before, the people that you speak to that are more confident than you, they're teaching you back. The lesson that they're giving you At this moment in time you might not enjoy it, but you're going to be thankful later on when you see how much that's going to grow you. So that's number 4. Number 5 is to also be really brutally honest with yourself with the addiction side of things, because people that have social anxiety, myself included from before, will have a lot of addictive behaviours. And a lot of people who have social anxiety who don't end up overcoming it because they don't put the work in are in denial. And denial is actually part of a defensive mechanism as someone who is coping with social anxiety. So be honest, be really honest with yourself. You can do that by getting a mentor, getting someone like myself to help you, and to be honest with you, where you're out of alignment, as I've said. Is this camera? Oh, it's a bit, sorry, the light has gone a bit. So be honest if you've got addictions to porn, to jealousy, to people pleasing, to lying, being misleading in relationships. I did all these things, and start working on that and start stopping these things. This is gonna take your self-esteem, confidence to another level, and this will coincide with being able to speak in front of more people and being more socially relaxed. So I think this is number 5, right? So being honest with yourself, working on quitting your addictions. Number 6, patience. That's all I want to say for number 6. Impatience, I think is the camera, why is it going funny? Patience, eh? Impatience creates more anxiety, and I know it's hard sometimes because it happens to me, because you're impatient, you're thinking, I've been spending this amount of time, I'm this age, how comes it isn't coming? You have to be patient, because you can't make this type of identity change just in a short space of time, especially if you've got severe social anxiety. So it takes time. These changes happen gradually. That's why I work with people from anything from 6 to 12 weeks to a few months, but it's worth it. This is your whole life, so be patient. That's number 6, right? Number 7, personal boundaries. You have to have personal boundaries with people, something that I really lacked years ago, and unconsciously it came from a fear of being rejected, abandoned. I think it's not very clear, the camera, I'm sorry. Hopefully you can still hear me well. Set personal boundaries, and just doing that, it will teach you a lot. I don't really have to say much more. Having personal boundaries is saying no when you mean no. So I'll just give you a quick example just to stress this point, make it clear. A lot of people with social anxiety will, when someone invites them somewhere or asks for something, if they want to say no, they're too afraid to say no because they think it's being rude. It's not being rude. Oh, the camera's back, great. Say no, practice it. Don't say no for the sake of saying no. For a technique, you've got to be honest with it. So if you want to say yes and you feel like that's fine, but there's a time to say no. Just setting boundaries, just being more straight with people, family, friends, and that's going to help you a lot. Number 8, practice. Practice makes perfect. So if you don't practice speaking to people in different social situations, your social anxiety is not going to go away. It's simple advice. So practice, I've said this before if you watch my videos, practice is the teacher. Practice will give you a deep psychological understanding of whatever it is that you want to improve in human behavior. In your case, in our case, my case, practice gave me things that no other teacher could give me. The practice itself is a teacher. So practice makes perfect. Number 9, failure equals success. If you're not failing in social situations, if you're not failing just in your self-esteem, if you're not occasionally failing with your addictions, then you're not doing it right, basically. So it's very simple. That doesn't mean you purposely fail. You don't purposely fail as a rationalization for doing bad things and being dishonest, but occasionally it's going to happen. Be kind to yourself, learn from the failure, don't make the mistake again. But failure comes in many forms, and failure to one person could be success to another. So I might see you have an interaction and say that was really good, and you might say I feel I did terrible there. But just knowing that really helped me a lot. Failure equals success. So number 10, the final one, purpose. which I've spoken about before. I've said my mentor Jeff has spoken about this, and he aligned it to what Viktor Frankl said. I went and checked out Viktor Frankl. I loved it. You need purpose throughout this journey. You need to remind yourself why you're doing this, because you're going to suffer. Because changing identities, going from being socially anxious to being socially confident, maybe doing what I'm doing, video blogs, teaching people, public speaking, being comfortable around yourself, your family, being socially relaxed, going from socially anxious, socially confident, there's a lot of suffering. You need purpose to keep you going. My purpose was, got to overcome it. Like I've said in, I think I gave number 1 and 2, have to overcome it. Why do I need to overcome it? Because of love. Well, what's love got to do with it? Oh, because that's the meaning of everything of life. If I don't love myself and I don't love people, I won't be able to build relationships. I won't be able to feel relaxed going out in public and doing the job I want, being the person I want to be. It goes very deep. So your purpose could be slightly different. You could, whatever it is to you, you need to have purpose. And if you follow all these things I've said, I know I've kind of said it a bit jumbled up, apologies, it's my style of speaking, but these are all the things I've done, and they all help me to overcome this mental illness and this anxiety around people. And I've said before, all these principles went into other areas of my life. I hope that's helped. Please like, subscribe. I really appreciate if you share my videos. And if you want to get my help, I can help you to overcome social anxiety and build social confidence. Go to my website www.johnnyberba.com and check out my coaching there. And all my information is on the website, so you can contact me. I hope this video helped you, alright? Bye.